Founded in 1957, the Gold Sheet is the country's longest-running sports betting newsletter. Each week, the Gold Sheet team delivers analysis on NFL and college football games, along with NBA and college basketball matchups. The Gold Sheet maintains in-depth point spread and results logs, giving sports bettors and enthusiasts the insights needed to maximize their wagers. For over 60 years, Gold Sheet readers have received key releases based on power rankings on all teams, and for the first time ever, you can now get these selections exclusively at goldsheet.com, WagerTalk.com, and SportsMemo.com.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to WagerTalk Today. I'm Lawrence Presman. Steve Merril sitting in Teddy's chair. He is sick today, Steve. Largely because I lost my 5% play last night on Buffalo, and Teddy does not take it well when I lose my 5% plays. It gutted him. Absolutely gutted him. He was up all night sweating. I tried to calm him down. I said, listen, Teddy, I felt like it was the right play. And he's like, but the Patriots won. And I'm like, well, I think more like the Bills lost. I mean, they were bloody well at the freaking goal line half the game. They couldn't get their act together. The stupid penalty flags. Teddy's like, yeah, man, but that's what the Patriots do. I'm like, dude, even on the last play, Josh Allen had Beasley wide open and missed him in the slot. Teddy's like, yeah, man, but that's what the Patriots do. I'm like, Teddy, relax, calm down. And since then, he's been sick as a dog. How are you, bro?
Yeah, I had the Bills as well. I'm doing a little bit better. It was only a 3% play for me, but yeah, I mean, Teddy takes these losses hard, Prez. He roots for you. And I thought maybe he was planning his trip to the Final Four for Michigan, his beloved Michigan Wolverines. And I also thought maybe he was getting some early Christmas shopping in. So there's a lot of possibilities of what could be going on.
Yeah, brother, I was just utterly gutted last night. And I mean, there was never a time during that game where I felt like the Bills were not going to pull it out at the end. Thoughts?
Yeah, let's just make this the What Did We Learn segment, because this is actually what I was going to talk about, Prez. Patriots, 3 pass attempts were the fewest in franchise history and tied with the 1968 Chiefs for the second fewest in a game in the Super Bowl era. Second fewest in the Super Bowl era, 50-plus years. I mean, so much for the modern NFL where nobody runs the ball anymore, right? And I guess you could say real quickly, what did I learn? Don't bet against Bill Belichick still in a big game. I mean, I like the Bills as well. I believe maybe Marco mentioned them on the show yesterday before I was on also, if I'm not mistaken. I mean,
yeah.
I guess groupthink is not a good thing, but I think a lot of sharp cappers were on the Bills, including you and me.
Steve Merril joining us instead of Teddy today, guys. I'm going to add to that in a second, but just want to let everyone know Bryan Leonard, he's with us today, $2 handicapper over at WagerTalk. Matt Joseph joining us, $2 handicapper over at Sports Memo. And we had a late breaking Dave Sharapan ain't coming on situation just for today. So Andrew McGinnis with almost no notice stepping up at the end of the show. Steve, look, here's my takeaway on the game last night. And what did I learn? I learned a couple of things, actually. Firstly, for all Bill Belichick's a genius. He ran the ball all game long, and it was an incredible game plan. No! It was an awful game plan. Buffalo marched down the field 3 times on you. They just couldn't convert at the end. They got penalty flags. They dropped balls. There was a 50-yard long bomb, smack dab right in Diggs' hands. He had to turn his head, this, that, and the other, but I mean, come on. He catches that ball more than 50% of the time. Dawson Knox in the end zone, great defensive play, but he could have come down with that ball. Josh Allen overthrew 2 receivers in the end zone. One was on a slant. I think both were on slants. Josh Allen missed through to Beasley at the end of the game that could have won it. There was a terrible, terrible holding call. There was an offside call. The refs also missed a crucial offside call on 3rd down and 9 towards the end of the game. Buffalo lost that game, period. But it was not because of Bill Belichick's genius freaking run calling. With that said, look, I'm a Bill Belichick. I think the guy's like the greatest of all time. Don't get me wrong. I have no reason to rant against him. He's made me a lot of money. But it really wasn't some genius play calling. The second thing I learned, Steve, and I find this to be the most interesting, and I'd like your take, is if any team in history of the NFL does not want home field advantage for the playoffs, it's the Buffalo Bills. That's what we learned last night. The Buffalo Bills need to be on the road and out of that shit-ass weather. They are not built to be in Buffalo. They're built to be in Indianapolis. I think it might end up boding well for the Buffalo Bills. And lastly, I don't see the Pats winning at all, dude. I just don't. I can't wrap my head around it. Anything to add to any of those?
Well, no, I was laughing. You said they don't want home field advantage, but it's actually a really interesting point. I mean, I think you're right about that, especially after what we saw last night, right? I mean, New England's built to play in the snow, cold weather. They run the ball every play except 3 times, 90%. The first team since the 1978 Saints to rush the ball for 90% of their plays. So obviously, New England might be able to go into some cold weather, nasty conditions and win. So, yeah, you're right. This isn't the Buffalo Bills that want to play in ice and cold. Very interesting take there, and I don't disagree with that. But I will say Belichick gets credit for running the ball 90% of the time. That's still a game plan thing. And don't forget, the Bills came in with the fourth best rushing defense in the NFL. So pretty amazing what they did.
No, listen, shame on Buffalo for not being able to stop the run when they – but that's the thing. They did, Steve. They did stop the run. Sure, they put up 5,000 yards. But Buffalo had the ball all game long. I mean, Not only all the things I mentioned, they had a missed field goal at the end, and that would have set them up at the 6-yard line at the end of the game for a game-winning field goal. You know, Bill Belichick doesn't get credit for last night's game calling. It wasn't genius. Like Buffalo, if Diggs catches the ball, if they hit the field goals, if I get it. But it wasn't like the New England Patriots had missed opportunities in the red zone. I actually, and I could be wrong, I don't even think they made it to the red zone.
Yeah, I mean, if you told me Mac Jones was going to have a QBR of 4.3 last night, I would have felt pretty good. I might have had a 6% play. I might have trumped you even on that one. So it just is how crazy that game was. Josh Allen, though, 15 for 30. Let's not forget he did not have a big game. That's something that they need better play out of. He's had really good games at times. He's also had some down games. Overall total yardage for the game, the Bills 230, New England 241. You know, so it wasn't like, like you said, it's not like they went out there and dominated Buffalo. All Buffalo had to do was basically score a touchdown at any of those opportunities they could. But, I mean, it was a great underplay in hindsight. I mean, obviously, when you run the ball that much, but it was just punt, one turnover each. I mean, it'll just be interesting to see if these teams meet again. Belichick, knowing Belichick, he'll come out and throw the ball 90% of the time.
They're meeting in 2 weeks, and write this down, everybody. I don't care what the line is. I'll be on the Bills. Steve Merril sitting in for Teddy. Teddy is sick today, guys, and let me tell you, if Teddy misses a show, he is freaking sick. That guy doesn't miss these shows very often. Bryan Leonard joining us, and it's $2 Tuesdays over at WagerTalk and Sports Memo. Bryan, you're the $2 Tuesday handicapper at WagerTalk. We'll talk about it in a second. Is there anything you'd like to add to our conversation?
Yes. First of all, I was switched from Monday to Tuesday. Then all of a sudden, Teddy calls in sick and Sharapan doesn't show up. What the hell have I done to these guys? Nobody wants to be on the show with me, but I appreciate Steve coming on.
Steve does.
Secondly, I can't believe we just wasted 10 minutes talking about a game that was already played that we can't make any money on. Let's get down to talking some football, some basketball, some hockey, in which we can make some money on.
Oh, Bryan, nice ad, dude. Nice ad. You know what? I feel like Teddy's back, Steve. He's just looks like Bryan Leonard today.
Yeah, and as always, we can't let these surly Vegas guys, whether it be Teddy or Bryan, get away with that because, as Prez just said, what they play in 2 weeks, Prez. So we can obviously gain something from last night's game.
Bryan.
So boom, there you go, right back at you.
Info.
Don't worry about that in 2 weeks.
9 straight winning days for your clients, Bryan. Outstanding work, rolling in college basketball, and more importantly, 8-1 on this show. 8-1 run, giving out picks on this show, guys. So write down everything he has to say. Bryan, you're the $2 handicapper. What's going on?
The $2 play is in college basketball. Also released another college basketball play for long-term clients, as well as 2 hockey plays. But you'll get these hockey plays today, as those will be the 2 games we'll talk about on the show today. But ranking number 2 the last month in NHL, because Andrew McGinnis continues to have a tremendous season. And ranking number 2 in college basketball the last 30 days. So, everything's going pretty well. And I don't know if I agree that Buffalo was a better team last night. I just think that New England didn't have to pass because they took an early lead. I don't know if that was a game plan coming in, but once you got a lead in that game, you knew New England, when they were going against the wind, was going to run. That's all I got to say about that one.
Nobody asked. Yes, we did.
Why is he talking? What, Prez, why is he talking about a game that's already happened?
Bryan, a lot of hockey on our show today. Let's get to some actionable information. We have Buffalo at home. Basically a pick 'em, plus 100 versus Anaheim at minus 120. Over and under is 6. You know, I looked at this game, Bryan. I looked at this game from a Buffalo perspective. I thought it was a good spot for the Sabres. I ended up passing, but I'm curious how you're handicapping this.
Yeah, it is a good spot for the Sabres. You see an Anaheim team going on the road. They play at Washington yesterday, had to go to a shootout, and they lose that game. But if you take a look at the way these teams have played, I had Anaheim the other day against the Vegas Golden Knights. I think I was the only handicapper that had them. The Knights were very popular in that game, and Anaheim's a team right now, they're playing very well. They got a younger team that's not used to winning. And so even though they lost yesterday in overtime with the shootout at Washington, they come out in this game expecting to win. They're playing a Buffalo team who's lost 5 out of 6 at home. I really like this Anaheim team. The youth really makes me want to bet on them in back-to-back situations. I believe when they played the Knights the other day, it was in the second of a back-to-back. So this is a team that it doesn't matter to me if they're playing 2 games in a row. In fact, it saved us 15 cents on the line, as I believe the overnight line was 135. Now we're down to the 120 and get it cheaper than that. I like Anaheim here. Anaheim's a team I'm looking to bet on. I always like to bet on teams that are on the come, as they say, teams that are getting better. And they're under the radar right now. You know, in the NBA, I could do it all the time. Look at the Cleveland Cavaliers this year, hitting over 67% against the spread because they've been bad for so long. This is how you make money. You bet on teams like that. When they get good, Anaheim's a good team. Buffalo's not. Give me Anaheim in a cheap number.
Yeah, and Bryan, that kind of transitions to another game. We're going to look at a late game, Calgary at San Jose. The Flames are $1.40 road favorite. Now, just get your thoughts on this, but also in general, do you look to play these, discounted prices with road teams in hockey? I always felt like the only advantage you really get in the NHL at home is having that last line change, right? I'm not sure there's really much of a home ice advantage anymore, as most of these rinks are pretty uniform. Your thoughts on just road teams in general, and also what you're looking at in this Calgary-San Jose game tonight. I almost said San Jose State. Calgary, San Jose tonight on a Tuesday.
Yeah, I usually do take a look at the road teams because I agree. Home advantage is not very strong in hockey. Hockey, baseball, I always try to look at the road teams, especially if you've got the better team playing on the road. And we've got that tonight with Calgary. It's the final game of the 4-game road trip. They've won 2 out of 3 thus far. They lose last time out in Vegas, and I was at that game. And Vegas played... I'm a season ticket holder along with Marco. And Vegas played their best all-around game of the season, and they still struggled to barely beat Calgary in that game. Calgary's a hell of a team. They've been very good on the road all season long. And they've got Carolina and Boston on deck. Now, they are at home, But those are two teams that are much better than San Jose. I think Calgary wins this and it gives them a 3-1 record on this road trip. First game back at home for San Jose after a 5-game road trip. They've got profitable on this road trip. They're 3-2. So you got a team coming home, as Marco would say, fat and sassy, coming home, and they're beginning their longest home stand of the season. I usually like to play against teams their first game back from a long road trip, and that's what we have tonight with San Jose. San Jose is a good team, especially when you take a look at their record, considering they didn't have the advantage of canceling games because of COVID that some of these other teams have had. So hats off to San Jose. They played very well, and they are a decent team. I just think Calgary's on a different level here. And with the upcoming games they have against Carolina and Boston, they need to have this game before they get back in town.
Bryan Leonard joining us, everyone. He is the $2 handicapper at WagerTalk.com. He's won 9 straight days for his clients. He's got a college basketball play. You can grab that. Bry, I'm not buying into this Calgary team. They are 15-5-5 on the year. I think when all has settled, their record will be nowhere near that type of number. I honestly think they're a fade team moving forward. I actually like San Jose tonight, except you made a really great point, and I want to mention it to everybody because it's something that I take into account all the time, and that is that first game back from a road trip. The only reason I'm not betting San Jose tonight is because they're in that spot, that first game back at home. Other than that, I just don't buy this Calgary team at all. I was all over Vegas on Sunday. It would have been a 5% play for me, but I already had one in the NFL, and you know what? I don't want to talk about that stuff, but I want to be happy today. But anyway, you think Calgary's like a bet on team moving forward?
Well, it all depends on what the lines are. I mean, when you take a look at goals plus or minus 5-on-5, they've got the third best in hockey behind Carolina and Washington. They've been very good, and they played extremely well on the road this season. There's no way I want to go against them on the road. San Jose, as I said, I've got no problem with San Jose. I think they're a team that we can make money on, but it's hard to make a judgment on going forward based on this because you don't know what the lines are. And there's a lot of time, like you said in your talking about the Buffalo game against New England. It doesn't matter what the line. Yes, it does matter what the line is. Before I know what you're saying is you want to play on Buffalo, but if Buffalo comes out, is a favorite in New England, 3-point favorite in New England, I'm not betting Buffalo. We got to always take into account what the line is. Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Well said. Absolutely. Guys, please take advantage of $2 Tuesdays at Sports Memo and Wager Talk. As we've already said a million times, Bryan's the $2 handicapper at Wager Talk with a college hoops play. Bryan, thanks for joining us, man. Real pleasure. Everyone, stay with us. We have Steve Merril's big game breakdown, Matt Joseph, and Andrew McGinnis. We'll be back in 10 seconds.
Tuesdays is known as $2 Tuesdays at WagerTalk.com and SportsMemo.com, where you can get the hottest handicappers, best bet, or daily package for only $2.
It's time for a little big game breakdown for Tuesday, December 7th, Pearl Harbor Day. Let's not forget all those brave Americans from 80 years ago today. Amazing. December 7th, 1941. Basically, Prez, you almost have to be 98 to have even been in World War II. And that's if you were, 94. That's if you were 18 in 1945. I did the math. So those veterans are still out there. They're the real Americans. They made this country great. Shout out to all of them that I'm sure are watching Wager Talk today. Let's look at a college basketball game for tonight on Tuesday, December 7th. Goes a little bit early at 6:30 Eastern. First game on the rotation, number one in your hearts, a battle in Virginia here, my home state. Virginia Cavaliers travel to Harrisonburg, Virginia for James Madison. Virginia 6-3, Madison the 7-2 team. and this will be the biggest crowd in the history of James Madison basketball. It was a women's teachers college back in the early 70s. In the late 70s, they opened the 7,800-seat arena, filled it a few times over the years, actually against Auburn, Richmond, and even UNLV. But now they have a new arena. Last year, they were capped at 250 occupancy. So this is the first year it's been open full throttle, and they will fill the entire 8,500 First Atlantic Bank Center tonight. With that said, though, I'm going to fade what many might think is a live home dog here. And because of all the hoopla behind them, the big home arena, the biggest game ever on campus, this line is too short. It opened 6. It's now down to 4.5. I disagree with that move. I will take the team that won the national championship just a couple seasons ago as a 4.5-point road favorite in a focused spot. They're not going to overlook this James Madison team, and it's all about tempo and matchup. First of all, JMU is not eligible for the CAA tournaments this year because they are bolting. They're going to 1A football in a couple years, and the CAA has banned them from postseason play. So Madison really needs this game to have any chance of at large. I'm fully aware of that, but once again, it's priced into the line, and Virginia's just a better team. They play still at one of the slowest paces ever. They're like that every single season, and whenever I can get Virginia against an up-tempo team, it's always worth a look. James Madison, one of the 70 fastest teams in the country this year out of 350 teams. Virginia, the second slowest out of all 350-plus teams. And they're going to take advantage of that tonight. They're the better offense, the better defense. I know Madison has played some slow teams well this year, but they haven't played a team like Virginia that can really slow it down and play half-court tenacious defense, holding their opponents to just 39% shooting, just 36.5% shooting on the road. And yes, Virginia has lost 3 games this year. Bad loss against Navy to start. We'll scratch that. It was the first game of the season. They lost to Houston by 20. That was ugly. Houston's a pretty good team. But the 1-point loss to Iowa a couple games back isn't looking so bad. Iowa just played Purdue really tough last week. Virginia bounced back with a lackluster win against Pittsburgh. So this is a focus spot tonight. Whenever I can get the better team on both sides of the court, the better pace, and a focus spot lane, just 4.5, we'll take it. A little bit of a contrarian call, believe it or not, with the Virginia Cavaliers minus 4.5. That goes at 6:30 tonight on Tuesday. Big game breakout for Tuesday night college basketball. Don't forget, I'll be back also at 1:45 Eastern live on WagerTalk TV, archived here on WagerTalk TV, breaking down 3 more college basketball games on College Basketball Today. Back to you, Prez.
Steve Merril, great job, man. And honestly, guys, Steve had zero, and I mean zero, notice that he was going to be on the show today. So awesome stuff. And way to mention Pearl Harbor, Detroit Watt had a grandpa who passed that was involved in World War II. And I want to make a quick mention. And I think I've said this before about a year ago on the show. Guys, if you don't know all the stories from World War II, there is a documentary on Netflix called World War II Main Events in Color. It's 10 episodes long. Each episode is an hour. Each episode covers whether it's the Battle of the Bulge or whatever it's called, whether it's Normandy, whether it's the Holocaust part of it, whether it's the bombing of the German city. I can't remember what it is. The attacking of France, the Midway. Midway is an incredible story. Anyway, there's no movie, there's no book ever written that has more drama and more intrigue than the stories from World War II. Steve, 57,000 soldiers died for America in the Vietnam War, about 150,000 altogether across all the allies and enemy. 17 million soldiers died in World War II. 17 million. Check that out, guys. It's an unbelievable watch. Matt Joseph, welcome to Wager Talk Today. Thanks for joining us, man. You're on a 34-20 college hoop sides run. 56% in all your college football bets. You're the $2 Tuesday handicapper. Tell us about it.
Yeah, I got a college basketball total that I posted, and it's moved a little bit already. So if you want to check it out before the value disappears, you can head on over to sportsmemo.com and get the $2 play for today.
There you go. Matt, we're talking college hoops. Northeastern versus UMass. How you handicapping this?
Yeah, and kind of like what just Steve was talking about with JMU and Virginia, we've got two different kind of paces being played here. Northeastern, one of the slowest teams in the country. UMass is towards the top when it comes to tempo, and we're getting a Minutemen team that is not as good on the road. They're 2-2 outside of their building. They're really good offensively. They shoot the three ball really well, but I think a lot of that is a friendly start to their season. And look, now they're going to Matthews Arena, and Matthews Arena is a massive cavernous hockey arena that they basically just put a basketball floor on top of. And Northeastern plays really well there for the most part. And you look at last year, these two teams played twice in a row, back-to-back, home and home. And Northeastern won the home game last year, and I think they have a better style that will frustrate UMass in this game. And you look, they play solid defense against the three-pointer. They don't turn the ball over a ton. And I like the way Northeastern plays basketball at home, so I think they frustrate UMass tonight. Now, look, I'm a little bit more of a cautious gambler, so I took the money line instead of the -2 here. You could take the -2 if it's really that big of a deal, but I think Northeastern wins a game tonight, and we see a frustrated Minutemen team. Plus, Bill Cohen is a very underrated basketball coach.
Yeah, and just looking at that line, Matt, you're talking about 2 with Northeastern, or about -135-ish, 130 to 140, -135, the consensus there on that money line. I'll transition to another game that we're going to talk about. Might be off of a lot of people's radar as well, and this is, of course, mid-major Matt. We call him mid-major Matt because he loves his off-the-radar games. But Albany, the Great Danes, saw them play William & Mary football this year, Matt, at home. The Great Danes, 1-6 start this year against the Yale Bulldogs, a battle of dogs here. Yale 5-5 on the season. Lane double digits here. Albany, not a good offensive team. And it's always tough, Matt, for me to back offensive teams, whether it's college football or basketball. Actually talked about it here yesterday on the show. They just don't have that backdoor cover potential with and they're one of the worst offenses in college basketball. 58 points, 38% shooting. Are you looking at Yale in this one? That'd be the only way I could play this one, is to probably lay it. And they're coming off a bad loss to Auburn, which might have them focused.
Yeah, that's the way I would go here. You look at Albany, they lost by 21 at Towson. They lost by 13 at Eastern Kentucky. They lost by 25 at Kentucky, and they just got blasted by Kansas State, and they don't score a lot of points here. And as you said, I mean, look, Yale has been home a couple times this year. They've put up 88, they've put up 91, they put up 81, and they put up 82. So I'll say this, the line is a little expensive. It's gone up a little bit. It was -12. Now it's about -13. If your book offers it, I think there's some value on the team total over for Yale. And what I've started to do over the last year or so with handicapping and anything is, look, if there's some units you don't trust in a game, maybe it's somebody's defense and somebody's offense, take something that you know is going to be successful. Yale's offense at home, as I just said, has been really good. The total is a very manageable one for team total. It's like 74.5. Ken Pom thinks that they're going to score 75 here. So if the number's too rich for you to take Yale minus the points, take Yale's team total over. I think there's a good shot they could put up 80 or more in this game on a bad Albany defense.
Matt Joseph joining us, everyone. Matt, awesome stuff, man. I got to ask you, because Joe Esposito made a mention of this, and, well, if you listen to me on a daily basis, there ain't no way I'm letting this slide by. Ask Matt how the girls from J-Date are treating him. Well, firstly, I've been taking my whole time. I've missed out on J-Date. It kills me. What's going on, Matt?
I've made my dating life public somewhat on Twitter. So we're just trying to get things going. J-Date's very expensive. And if anybody's watching from the show, it's like $55 a month, which is rather expensive for a dating website. And especially since there are not a ton of Jewish women in my area. So therefore, the ratio of money spent to women is not exactly a good one. So if anybody's watching, they can try and hook me up with a discount. That would be great. But we're just trying to find the love of our life there, Prez. I think, it takes a little bit of time to do so.
Well, get your butt up to Toronto. I can line them up for you up here, Matt.
Do I have to like maple syrup?
Well, everybody likes maple syrup anyway.
I do not like maple syrup.
Speaking of which, Prez is full of documentaries today. There's another documentary on Netflix, and the maple syrup heist. Mind-blowing.
I might watch that one.
Do you guys, Steve, you are an investor.
Yes.
Do you know that a barrel of maple syrup is about 1,000 times a barrel of oil in price?
I'll watch that. The word heist is what got me intrigued, actually. Dead
No,
serious. I will
dude.
watch that. That sounds pretty
Dude.
cool, actually.
Dude, maple syrup is the single most expensive commodity on the planet by far. It is
Liquid gold.
It is liquid gold times 100. And there's a very small season for maple syrup. You can only make maple syrup in Mass, in Vermont and Quebec, mostly Quebec. And they put these barrels in a warehouse that they hold forever. There must have been millions of dollars of barrels stolen, like the whole barrel stolen out of a warehouse. I mean, like 1,000 barrels were put on trucks and taken out of the warehouse, and nobody to this day knows who did it, where it went. It's really a fascinating story.
I'm in,
Matt.
Man. No, I that actually sounds like something I would like. When you said maple syrup, I was laughing. When then you said heist, I was in. I'm actually all over that.
Yeah. Matt Joseph, dude, you come to Toronto. I promise you won't need J date. You'll just need L date. Anyway, that's me, Lawrence. L date. Get it?
I thought you were hooking him up with women that like. I thought you were hooking him up with women that like women. Then I realized it was Lawrence, so I'll leave it at that.
Yeah. Okay. P date. Anyway, now I'm hooking him up with women who like golden showers. Okay, I'm gonna shut up and move on. Matt, what do you got to promote?
Just a $2 handicapper on sportsmemo.com. And, of course, bowl season's coming up. We've seen college football really well for the most part this season, and we're very selective when it comes to the bowls. So if I like it, it's probably going to win. So check me out, sportsmemo.com.
Awesome stuff, Matt Joseph, everybody. Guys, 16 more likes if you want to hear a daily presidential address. I'm okay either way. I'm hungry. Steve, Andrew McGinnis going to be joining us shortly. In my ear, Dan or Joe, do we have an Andrew McGinnis sighting?
No, we'll see him on the screen, but I'm going to like it right now because I want to make you work a little bit harder, and I recommend everybody else out there do that as well. We're at 85 likes now, Prez. 85 likes live on WagerTalk TV.
I'm typing to Andrew. Andrew, where the fuck are you?
By the way, Matt Joseph, seriously, not only a good guy, but a really good college football handicapper, like he said, and mid-major Matt for a reason, and he's also the prop master. You know, we talk about Andy Lang, the prop master on WagerTalk.com. Matt Joseph is the prop master at SportsMemo.com. He really digs between the lines on smaller, small colleges, props. A great guy to have to diversify your portfolio, to say the least.
Excellent. Let's take a quick break, 10 seconds. Find Andrew. If no Andrew, we'll go straight to the daily presidential address. In 1 second.
Sign up for the free WagerTalk Text Club to gain access to free plays and exclusive discounts. Just text WagerTalk to 33222 to sign up and get a $10 coupon to use on WagerTalk.com.
Oh, yeah, we're going to hold the daily presidential address off. Look, we got issues today. Well, what can you do? It happens, Steve. Hey, Steve. You literally had an American flag just sitting there? We don't need to kill any time, dude. Let's look at some. Can we like, Steve, focus. Early NFL, man. Let's race through this board at 100 miles an hour. Kansas City -9 against Las Vegas. Too many points for Kansas City. I'm looking at Vegas right now, but I don't know if I can get to the window.
Well, Prez, a couple weeks ago, you mentioned how it was going to be such a terrible spot for the Washington football team, and I agreed with you, and Vegas still couldn't get it done, right? So it's just a very difficult team to trust right now. They had Washington in a really good spot last week and still couldn't pull it out.
Yeah. What about Cincinnati and San Fran? Just a crucial game for both teams, and it's -1 with 47.5 on tap. Joe Burrow's injury is going to play a factor in this game, but right now I'm looking at the Bengals.
I'll tell you what, San Francisco's a team everybody had written off, and then they go out and win that Rams game on Monday Night Football. They went 3-0 straight up ATS, and they lost to Seattle, and Seattle was one of the most public sides. I'm sorry, San Fran was a very public side last week that I mentioned in my Fade the Public video, and it bit them. We'll see if they bounce back this week. That Charger team did not look good against the Chargers. I'm sorry, the Bengals did not look good against that Charger team last week.
Green Bay, man. Thursday night game. Who scheduled this? Did they think Chicago was going to be good or something? Oh, my God. Minus 12.5 with a 44 on tap. I got to believe after watching that Arizona game that there's likely value betting Green Bay here.
Yeah, Sunday night game, you meant, not Thursday. Sunday night, obviously. And, I don't know why they didn't flex out of this, Prez. Obviously they did last week, actually. The Seattle-San Fran game last week was supposed to be the Sunday night game, and they flexed in the Chiefs-Broncos, which I'm not sure was that much better. But, yeah, this Chicago game, as of now at least, is still the Sunday night game. Hard for me, like I talked about with Matt Josephs, bad offensive teams as dogs, teams that can't throw the ball well. It's so hard to trust them because they have no backdoor catch-up potential. Just a total mismatch here from a passing perspective, at least on paper.
Yeah, that is for sure. I got the NFL Presidential address tomorrow, and I've been taking notes and writing these games up all most of yesterday afternoon. And one of the games that confused the shit out of me was the Seattle-Houston game. I mean, you got Seattle at minus 7.5, and it's like they are for sure a lot better than Houston. I can't bet them minus 7.5. This game baffles me.
Yeah, and Prez, I was looking at it as well. And you've got a Seattle team that, as I said, was a very public play against last week. That look-ahead line was Seattle pick'em, and then they ended up being a 3.5-point home dog last week, and they went outright. The public wanted nothing to do with them, and now they're laying over a touchdown on the road in a non-conference game with a game at the Rams on deck next week. I mean, this is the epitome of a sandwich letdown, whatever you want to call it. But there again, Houston is just so bad, but they got to cover some games, right? And you figure this is one of those games they're likely to cover if they're going to do so.
Steve Merril joining us. Teddy is sick today. Hopefully he will be feeling better tomorrow. Steve, another game I'm going to likely pass is the Jets, New Orleans. A lot of money coming in on the Jets. 6.5 it opened up. There's now a 4.5 at one book. 43.5 is the total. I get it, man. I lean on the Jets here too, but one of the rules I have, Steve, is you got to earn my money, and the Jets have not.
Yeah, we always look for a catalyst when teams are struggling, maybe like a bye week, like I talked about in some of the games yesterday that we talked here, or maybe like, the quarterback situation. Obviously, Zach Wilson coming back, no more Mike White, or Fitzpatrick, whoever else they've got up there. Flacco. I'm sorry, Flacco was the Super Bowl MVP that they signed. So maybe that could be a buy sign for the Jets and the Saints. Meanwhile, 5 straight losses, 4 out of 5 non-covers. A little extra time, though, after the Thursday game. So maybe that's the catalyst there. It'll be interesting to see how this one turns out.
2 more games to discuss, brother. Dallas minus 4 against Washington. Money coming in on Dallas. So there's a 3.5 on the board already. That means Washington's coming in on money. Money's coming in on Washington. Right. My apologies. I don't see how Washington can keep up with this Dallas team. I mean, I get that they're on a nice 4-game win streak. They looked good in every game, especially defensively, but you're going to struggle to keep Dallas down. I got to believe Dallas can put up 24 points in this game, assuming the weather is okay. There's no way I'm betting it, but I mean, right off the top, I can't justify taking the dog here.
This Washington team was 2-6 straight up. They were 1-7 against the spread, the worst point spread team in the NFL. 1-7, go into their bye week, and they've gone 4-0 straight up in ATS since, including that upset against Tampa Bay to start it off after the bye. So there again, that was the catalyst. And then they lose Chase Young, their best defender, and their defense is playing better than ever. So it makes no sense to me, Prez. Dallas, meanwhile, was the best moneymaker the first 8 games in football. Kind of feel like this is a contrarian call on the Cowboys all of a sudden.
Steve Merril, New York Giants. I can't even who's the quarterback that's going to be leading the Giants into the LA Charger game?
I mean, last week it was Mike Glennon from my hometown, right at Centerville,
Virginia,
Northern Virginia.
Glennon.
Yeah, I
It's
don't
not,
think it
I'm
is
told,
either. Yeah, go ahead.
I think it's
What were you saying,
from.
Prez?
I think it's. You know what? That's the thing is we don't
It is
even.
from. I'm
I
saying
can't even.
from. I'm saying from.
Yeah, from. Who the hell is this guy? Minus
They
10 and a
signed him
half for the.
last week, by the way. They signed
Yeah,
him last
minus.
week to be McGlennon's backup. So, I mean, look, two ways to look at this. The Giants' offense can't be much worse, right? They fired their OC, Jason Garrett, a few weeks ago. They beat the Eagles. I had the Eagles in that game. Giants did nothing offensively. The Eagles just did less. And then all of a sudden, the
Yeah.
Eagles put up a bunch of points last week. So that's the NFL. It's bipolar. And, if it plays out that way, Fromm will probably go out and have 300 yards and win the game.
Yeah, the next Kurt Warner, somebody from who I've never heard of. Steve Merril, awesome stuff. I'll tell you right off the bat, man. Kansas City minus 9.5. You've got Tennessee minus 9.5. You got the Chargers minus 10.5. You got Green Bay minus 11.5. And those, when it's very rare you get 3 games in the same week, and now we have 4 that are in that 9 to 11 zone, allowing for the world's greatest bet, the 3-team 10-point teaser. I did one this past, we had one this past Sunday, although I put Miami in it, which meant I crossed 0, which you're not supposed to do, but the total was super low. So crossing 0 when the total is super low is better than if it's very high, if you will.
Right.
But anyway, man, there's a 3-team 10-point teaser right there. Kansas City, Tennessee, Green Bay, and the Chargers. Which one do you take out?
Yeah, by the way, Tennessee, folks, is at home against Jacksonville, laying 9.5. So you're getting them in a straight-up home win against Jacksonville. Hard to disagree with that. Green Bay down to basically 1.5 at home against the Bears. Hard to disagree with that. Kansas City, 9.5 down to pick them against the Raiders. Worry about them coming off the Sunday night win, but still at home. Hard to imagine they don't pull that one out. And then the Chargers, like we just said, they're playing from. The Giants should not go in there. I have no problem with all 4. I mean, all 4 make a lot of sense to me. And round robin them, right? Round robin means you make a bunch of 3-team combinations. And if one of them bites you, at least you break even probably.
There you go. Awesome stuff, guys. Let's go to the daily presidential address and then call this a show. What a show today, everybody. If you missed WagerTalk today and you're watching this on Twitter, check it out. Bryan Leonard joined us, talked hockey, and he has just been outstanding in hockey. Matt Joseph came on, talked some college hoops, and Steve Merril and I literally went down most of the NFL games in about a 6-minute span with a ton of actionable info for you all, especially a 4-team 10-point teasing round robin. Didn't know there was such a thing, but, well, you could do it manually, so it all works out. Other than that, Teddy is not feeling well today, so we wish him the best. I hope he gets a lot of sleep and feels better. Make sure to check out Puck Time tomorrow. Andrew McGinnis and Carmine host that show. I will be on it. As for your free picks today, I like the Edmonton Oilers minus 130. I know they're playing the hottest team in the league. Minnesota Wild are just unbelievably good. I just like that they're at home and coming off of a very bad loss a few nights ago to the LA Kings. I think it was 5-1 for LA. So this is a bad spot for Minnesota. And I like the New York Islanders to finally turn their freaking season around. But I would take them in regulation tonight, guys. No chance I would lay minus 150 for a team who's lost 742 games in a row. So take them in regulation. That's it for Wager Talk today. Outstanding show. Steve Merril, I got a Montreal smoked meat sandwich on rye bread with extra mustard and a pickle waiting for me. Take us home.
I like it. That sounds better than the falafel sandwich last week. I like those smoked meat sandwiches. You're the only man that can make something sound dirty. A 10-team round robin teaser manually. I don't know what it is. You've got a gift there. Once again, happy Pearl Harbor Day, though. American flag, seriously. Pearl Harbor Day 80 years ago. Great Americans, many of them still alive. And thank you, Prez, for having me as the co-host today. Hope Teddy feels better. He should be back tomorrow on Wednesday, noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, each and every day here. Thanks to Bryan, Leonard, and Matt Joseph, as always. And thanks to Joe and Dan back in the studio. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and most importantly, comment below. Prez and I read all the comments and we reply back. And catch us any time of day or night, 24/7, right here on Wager Talk TV. Back tomorrow, noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. Have a great Tuesday.
Founded in 1957, the Gold Sheet is the country's longest-running sports betting newsletter. Each week, the Gold Sheet team delivers analysis on NFL and college football games, along with NBA and college basketball matchups. The Gold Sheet maintains in-depth point spread and results logs, giving sports bettors and enthusiasts the insights needed to maximize their wagers. For over 60 years, Gold Sheet readers have received key releases based on power rankings on all teams, and for the first time ever, you can now get these selections exclusively at goldsheet.com, wagertalk.com, and sportsmemo.com.